Welcome to Slasher Sunday, my favorite day of the week on this channel. Now, I'm going to change pace a little bit here. Usually I do 1980s stuff, but today I'm going to do something more modern. I get asked a lot if the slasher genre is dead. And while I don't think it is dead, it has slowed down drastically. We just don't see them made much anymore. And when we do, they're usually like 80s throwback, homage type stuff. Now for this one, we're gonna have to go all the way over to Japan for Dream Home. Now, pre-warning for anyone who hasn't seen this. This movie is fucked up and disturbing and brutal and pulls no punches. Everything is shown on screen. It's gruesome and mean-spirited. I do not recommend this film to people who have a weak stomach or the faint of heart. This movie is fucking vicious. So pre-warning. And we have a female antagonist, and the movie follows her the whole time. So it is a very rare slasher film. It is like recent. It's not that old. It has a female antagonist, and she's the main character of the film. You are not going to see many films like that. So let's get into the film itself. Spoilers from here on for people who have seen it and just want to, hear my thoughts and all whatnot. So, all right, let's get into it. Now, this movie jumps back and forth in time throughout the film. This girl is denied her dream home and goes on a killing spree inside this apartment or this, whatever the hell it is. She's buying a flat. I don't know what condos or whatever. She goes in there to murder a fuckload of people to drive the price down for her house so that she can buy the dream home that she's wanted since she was a kid, because her and her family were pushed out of her house and she always wanted to go back, and she'll do absolutely anything, and I mean fucking anything, to get this house, her dream home. So she kills a guard in the opening, and we see this quick tie, which she uses a lot in the movie. A lot of quick ties used in this movie, and every one of them used very effectively and very viciously. She puts it over his head, and it's sliding down over his head. She's doing it super slow, like a game of Operation. If you touch the side, it's gonna be and wake him up. And he touches his nose, and he jumps, and then she quick ties it around his neck. He's trying to get anything he can to try to get it cut off, and he takes a little X-Acto knife, and he starts hacking at his jugular vein. If you're gonna cut at it, cut here. Cut, not here. Cut in the back. Cut in the back. You got nothing back here. Why is he cutting at his jugular? I get it. It's, for the movie, and it's to make people queasy, and oh my god, and he cuts the fucking jugular. That scene is so fucking mean and vicious. God. It reminded me a lot of No Country for Old Men, when Anton Chigurh comes in and he strangles that deputy that arrests him on the side of the road or brings him in. It's just him struggling to survive and her just sitting there like she doesn't give a shit. We don't see her face, but you can tell she's not trying to help. She's not trying to go up and help him by killing him and putting him out of his misery. Anything. She's just sitting there staring and watching him slowly die and fight for his life. So yeah. And that's not even 1% of how mean and gruesome this film is. She has a career which, she's like a telemarketer basically for this bank, and she just gets hung up on right and left, and people are telling her to fuck herself. And trust me, I am not somebody who can say shit here, because I am one of the guilty parties in this. I'm very mean to people on the phone when I do not want to talk to them. I know I shouldn't be. I'm not anymore, honestly. But if I call somebody up about a bill that I have or whatever, if they're running me through, because I know bullshit when I hear it, when they're like, oh no, because of this and that, I lose my mind on them. And I feel bad, but at the same time, they're trying to fuck me. They're going through their scripts, and I'm like, stop going through your script. Talk to me like a fucking human being, okay? So I freak out. Having this girl's job would suck. It would probably drive her crazy on her own, by itself. And she goes to meet her boyfriend, which is having an affair on his wife, and she goes and gets a room by the hour. They actually have a place there. They rent by the hour. I've never been to one. Looks much nicer than the ones I see in most movies. And he comes, literally, falls asleep, talks to his wife, leaves in the middle of the night, pays nothing. He has the money, she doesn't. She wakes up in the morning, he didn't wake her up, he didn't say goodbye, and she has to pay for the entire night, even though she only paid for the 1 hour. And yeah, as I said, he's the dude with the money. Doesn't do, what a dick. Right there, Jesus, you just want the guy to die. And he's one of the only people in this movie that doesn't die. She just puts a drink on top of his car and is like, we're done. And it's like, really? Of all, like, you killed a pregnant woman and this guy gets a pass? Wow. You got your priorities crooked, lady. And, man, there's so many gruesome kills. So I want to get into pretty much every kill here. And so when she breaks into the house of the pregnant lady and kills the other woman in the house, she sticks the knife through the back of the head and her eyeball pops out. Then she goes over and she's about to go after the pregnant girl, and she gets a phone call, and in the middle of like stalking her next victim, she stops to answer her phone and have a conversation, like no big deal. Then the pregnant girl comes out, she gets off the phone, she goes over and attacks her, fucking pushes her down, she falls on her belly, which makes her immediately, like, her water break, placenta, blood, everything's flowing out on the ground. And then she takes a quick tie, puts it around her hands and her feet behind her back, and puts one of those vacuum seal bags around her head, quick ties that, and then sucks all the oxygen out of it as she just, flops around like a dead fish, or a dying fish. And, then the husband comes home, and the first thing he does, and we don't see this a lot, when he sees his wife dead there, he immediately rips the bag open and tries to give her CPR instantly. You just don't see that enough. I always see this in movies where I'm like, try something, give him CPR. You don't know how long they've been dead. So I like that he actually rushed to it and did that. And then him and the chick get into a big fight. He's strong arming her. They're pushing each other all over the place. And then he comes at her. They both fall, and his neck hits the coffee table and just snaps his neck. It looks fucking awful. Like, great special effects is not what I'm saying. It just looks horrendous how he dies. Jesus. All the kills in this movie are just shocking. Like, your jaw drops to the ground. This is like the third time I've seen this movie, and the majority of the kills made my jaw drop again. Every time they get me because they're so fucking crazy. And I like how when he comes home and his wife is laying on the ground dead, before he sees her, he steps on the eyeball that fell out of her head, and he's like trying to brush it off his shoe because he has no idea what the hell it is. Oh man, it just adds to it. It's so fucked up. And then we go over to the next set of victims, her last set of victims in the movie, where she spends the majority of her time butchering. Half the people in this room, I don't know about death, but they definitely deserve shitty, horrible things to happen to them. They're trying to get laid by these two beautiful young little Asian girls, and one of them blacks out drunk and while topless, and one of them takes one of the girls in the other room and starts having sex with her, and then this other guy who's left out there with the drunk girl is pissed off. His buddy with the blue mohawk shows up, and he comes in the room and he's like, do you mind if I like play with her tits? And he's like, yeah, go, whatever, I don't give a shit. and then they decide to blow cocaine up her nose without her consent or anything to try to wake her up so that she can like jump out of it and have sex with them. You gave a girl forcibly drugs up her nose while she's blacked out drunk while fondling her tits to wake her up so that you can fuck her together. Wow. Maybe they do deserve to die. Holy shit. How fucking awful can you be? Then there's a knock at the door. Blue Mohawk guy. Oh no, there isn't a knock. He just goes to leave. And she guts his ass. He falls to the ground and his intestines fall everywhere. And that's where he stays for pretty much the rest of the movie until the very end. And then she gets into this big fight with the other dude that was in the room. And he gets a fucking broken bong in the throat, right in the jugular, and the bong is filling up with blood as he's stumbling around the room and falls over dead. Then goes, and the girl who's vomiting in the toilet because she's been woken up by the cocaine, she goes and she grabs her head while she's vomiting in the toilet and starts smashing her head into the toilet until the toilet breaks from her head collapsing into it. Jesus, it's fucking violent, man. And then she goes into the room while the guy's fucking the girl and keeps stabbing him in the back as he's fucking this girl doggy style. As she's stabbing him, she's stabbing him in motion as he's humping forward, which makes him thrust faster and harder. And making this girl thinks like he's fucking finishing, and she's like, oh my god, like so into it. Then, with the last thrust, she falls forward. She takes the knife and flings the blood all over her back like it's cum. And the girl's like, oh my god, that was a lot. And then she cuts the guy's dick off and throws it on the pillow in front of the girl's face. And as she opens her eyes, the dick starts freaking oozing cum out of the tip of it. Jesus Christ. And then they have this huge long battle, and she goes under the bed and she's like playing, like there's the freaking slats for the bed frame, and she's like putting it through, and the girl's like dodging it this way and that way, and she takes a broken plank and puts it through the girl's mouth into the bed. Fuck, dude. Moving on. And then she gets an Achilles cut. The girl who's under the bed takes the knife, puts it through the girl's Achilles tendon. She yanks it out and then takes like a wrapping, quick ties the shit, and she's just bleeding profusely. Gets to the door, the cops are there. This is where this fucking movie gets insane. It already sounds like it's insane. If you haven't seen this movie and you're just listening to see if this sounds like something you're interested in, and you're like, oh my god, this is already too crazy, it gets fucking even crazier when the cops get there. The whole cop scene is bonkers fucking violent. The girl with the plank in her mouth comes to the door as the cops are coming in, like they're coming in to like see what the fuck is happening. And the girl comes in, she starts attacking, our main girl here, and the cops are trying to help the killer, and they like push her aside, and then the girl has a knife and she like accidentally slits the cop's throat, which makes him shoot his partner. His partner shoots the girl. She fucking falls forward onto the plank and it rips through the back of her head. It reminds me of Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, when Jason falls on the machete and it slides down his face. It's like that. She falls on the plank and it rips the whole back of her head off and through. And and she grabs the gun, blows the one dude's head off. The other guy bleeds to death. And then she goes over to the guy who's been laying there with his intestines cut out the whole time, makes him fucking put the gun in his mouth with his own hand so she can frame him for the murder. He won't open his mouth, so she grabs and reaches into his intestines and squeezes on them, which makes him open his mouth. She puts the gun in and boom, blows the whole back of his head off and leaves. And then she goes, leaves, gets away with it, and which of course drops the price. Like, no one wants the place, no one wants to live in that apartment, so she calls back the realtor and is like, You know, if they're still interested, I'm gonna have to ask that they take a million freaking whatever the hell their currency is, HK, I don't know, Hong Kong currency, whatever that is, a million. I don't know what that is in our money, but our money. People from all around the world watch this. I don't know what that is in United States dollars, my money, but that seems like a lot. They wanted 4 million and 4.9 million, and she was asking 3.9. So I don't know what that is for a flat. I can't imagine that that's anywhere near $1 million, but it's definitely high up there. So she wants like $1 million. She wants a fourth off, and she gets it. And then when she gets it, everyone's been telling her throughout the movie, like, the stock market's gonna crash. It's gonna crash. Don't buy the fucking thing. She finally gets to the house, and then it ends with the stock market crashing and her being like, "Oh fuck." Credits. Karma credits. There you go. That's what we call it when people get karma at the end of the movie. Karma credits. Oh man, what a fucking fantastic movie. I never hear anyone talk about this damn movie. It's fucked up and just so gleefully gory, not for the faint of heart. Gleefully gory. That's what it says right here. That's great. So anyway, anyone seen this? If you're watching at this point, I'm guessing you haven't. If you haven't, you're probably vomiting because just the descriptions of what I'm saying is a lot. But my God, what a fucked up, awesome movie. This shows what a sicko I can be. Now, I'm not really super into like just straight up shock movies. I watched like all of them back in the day, like the August Underground and Mortem and Irreversible and Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, and you know, Serbian Film, and freaking what was that movie called? The Moon, the Burning Moon, the German movie where it's like pure insanity in the last 10 minutes. This guy like goes down into hell. It is fucking nuts. I like the Serbian Film because it was actually a movie and it had a plot and there was some good acting. It was well done. I've actually seen that movie a couple times because I actually thought it was a great movie. Yes, it's fucked up, but it's actually a film. The problem I have with the guinea pig movies and all the other aforementioned movies and Cannibal Holocaust and this is they're just shitty. I just sit there bored out of my mind the whole time. Like, okay, we're raping this girl and we're fucking this kid and it's just all for shock. It's like nothing there. Salo was at least watchable because there was some kind of plot to it. But yeah, I don't really get shocked all that much, and I don't really get, grossed out all that much. So those movies are just kind of boring, and I know a lot of people are always like, well, why don't you review Faces of Death or something? It's like, I want to watch that shit. I want to watch good movies. I want to watch something that's worth my fucking time. Yes, I know I watch shit, technically, but that's real shit. That's boring nonsense to try to fucking shock audiences. I don't know what that's for. I don't even know who it caters to because the people who it truly would shock won't watch it. So you're making it for nobody. You're making it for fucking sickos who get off on watching just pure, disgusting violence just for the sake of it. Which, as I said, I love gore and I love insanity in movies, but come on, have something else going on as well. You can't just rely on that. This movie doesn't. We do get a story here. This is a girl who was traumatized as a child, wanted, to relive something of her childhood, like get her childhood home back for whatever reason, because she thought it was going to be comfortable to live in, because it was a goal of hers since she was a child, and she would do absolutely anything to take that home back. And, her performance is great. Her attitude throughout the film, like the way she interacts with people, how she's a victim and weak in certain areas and so strong and indestructible in others. Like, this is an actual film. It's a fucking gore fest shock film, but with some depth to it and some story. So there's a big difference between the two. Anyway, guys, all right, Slasher Sunday is over. I don't know what I have lined up for next week, but I always look forward to this. So, all right, guys.